Hi, I'm Ravi. In this session, we will talk about representing data using JavaScript object notation. It is also called as JSON. Stands for JavaScript object notation and is a plain text format for storing and transporting data and used to send, receive, store data and is make it easy to send, store data between computers and is text only and language independent. Since it is text, easy to write, read, update, edit. Now, if you look at the syntax is derived from JavaScript object syntax, whereas JSON is text only. Now, syntax data is in key value pair combination, and key and value are separated using colon. As an example, if you see, if my variable is a, generally what do we do? If you look at any programming language, we assign values to variables, a is equal to 1. But if in Java JSON, we use a colon 1. Okay. Next, multiple key value pair represented within double quotes and separated by comma. So let me put it in this way. Multiple key value pair represented, separated by comma. Then you have key value pair are represented within double quotes. Example would be like this. Let's say I have one key and one value, and another key is B and its value. So that's how it is represented. Now, one more thing we have to understand is there's something called object. So generally object has its own attributes, properties. Let's say you're talking about a square object. Square has its own properties or attributes. Rectangle, circle. So any object can be represented in attributes format. Okay, so curly braces holds objects. What does object contain? Object can be represented in key value pair combination. Object properties can be represented. Object attributes, properties can be represented in key value pair combination. Okay. Now there's one more concept called array. So square brackets holds arrays. Okay. Now if you look at object will be represented in this way, and arrays in this format. Another easy representation is generally if you look at if you try to represent a single key value or in a of a object. So what happens? You have one key and single value in this case. assume that you have single key and multiple values. How do you do that? How do you represent this? Assume you have A and it has multiple values. So multiple values will be in square brackets, in double quotes, separated by comma. So that's how you represent your array. So array, look at cloud automation perspective and DevOps perspective, where you don't want to complicate your data representation. So assume that you have an key and it has multiple values. Wherever you have multiple values for a single key, that can be referred as an array. An array values are in double quotes as well as within square brackets. Now, if you see, there are different data types where your values can be represented. So JSON values must be in one of the following data type. So what is data type? It talks about what the data type is, refers to what type of value and a variable can hold. Accept. It could be a number, it could be a string, it could be null value, it could be Boolean value, anything. Okay, so first one would be string. Strings are nothing but alphanumeric values. Strings in JSON must be in written in double quotes. Example, if you see name colon Ravi. Next is number. Numbers in JSON must be an integer or a floating point. Could be a decimal value as well. So assume, let's say this is a value and 20. And for numbers, you don't have to give double quotes. You can represent directly the value. But it is advisable because when you have a complex number, when you have a decimal point, just to avoid confusions, put it in double quote, but it can be accepted without double quotes as well. Now object. Objects which has associated with attributes or properties are written inside curly braces. Example, let's say I want to write first name, last name. So my key name is first name colon, let's say Ravi, comma, last name colon. That's how you can represent your object. Now, if you look at arrays written inside. So what are we talking about? We are talking about values, okay? So array values can be written inside square brackets. Example, let's say we are referring to employees. So employee in an organization could be one or more. Okay, so let's say you have more than one employee, and when right side you have more values, it could be, we can represent in a array format. Okay, and this one we can add it. First name, last name. This is one value, another value, third value. Okay, let's say one more value is then one more value, one more value. So that's how you can represent, okay, your arrays just for easy understanding. Okay, so arrays will have one key with multiple values and representing those like this. Okay, next. Now, next one is Boolean. It can take Boolean values as well. Values in JSON can be true, false, yes or no. Okay, example. Let's say you have a sale. Sale happened, yes or no. It need not be in double quotes. Then your null value. Values in JSON can be null. Example, let's say when you're talking about first name, middle name, there is a possibility that some people may have middle name, some may not have. Okay, so here middle name colon null value. Okay. Now, where do we generally use? So in programming language, there are different way how to integrate this JSON format in modern programming language. But our concentration here is general usage for infrastructure perspective. Infrastructure perspective would be for cloud automation. Then your DevOps scripts overall can be referred as infrastructure as code. We can use here as well. Okay, so let's see some examples and try to write objects, values, arrays in JSON format. So first example, let me represent rectangle. Okay, rectangle attributes properties in JSON format. Represent data. Represent data of. So what is object here? Object is my rectangle. Okay, so let me represent here. So your object attribute properties fall under, will be presented under curly braces. So whatever we do, we want somebody to validate our syntax. So here, let me try to add one point here. So if you see here, there's some online validator where you can validate JSON scripts. Syntax only. Values and keywords will be used for the target. Let's say you're trying to implement automation for AWS. So you should be using keywords and accepted values for target JSON AWS cloud. Similarly for Azure cloud, for Google cloud, any target. So whatever is the accepted keywords and values, only those things you should be using. Otherwise, what we are trying to do, we are trying to check syntax only. Okay. So online validator for JSON. One of the online validator, it's free. You can use it. JSON online validator. It may have commercial versions, but I'm using free option. So let me represent. So what properties rectangle will have? Length, length, colon, some value. Let's say 1 centimeter. Comma separated because I have continuation here. Breadth, colon, 2 centimeters. One more value. Let's say I'll represent height also. Colon, one more value, 3 centimeters. Now I have a sample data for an object rectangle return represented in JSON format. Now I would like to check whether syntactically this is correct or not. How do we do that? Go to this online validator option, paste the script, and there's an option here to validate. Okay, validate. You can see JSON is valid. So what will happen if I remove comma here? You can see here it will throw an error. It says it was expecting a closure or continuation, but what did we give? We give nothing. So add it, revalidate. Now let me remove a double quote and check. It will throw error. Fix it and recheck it. Okay, so that's how we validate JSON representation syntax. Let me use one more example. Okay, now I would like to write education qualifications of an individual. Okay, example 2, represent data of individual person, individual attributes, properties. So let's say I would like to consider name, location, age, education qualifications, height, weight. So these are the properties I would like to consider to build JSON representation. So your object is individual and the object represented in curly braces. Check now. First, your name. I'll just use a fictional name here, or I can just use name one. Continuation, comma, then age, anything in double quotes. It becomes a string. Location, then value would be location one, anything. Continuation. Now here, I would like to represent education qualification. So let's say individual having 2 degrees, degree 1 and degree 2. Okay, add it here. So now we have left hand side one key, right hand side you have two values. So it becomes an array for easy understanding. Okay, values will be in double square brackets and double quotes, comma, degree 2. Closure, because we still have few more properties. So continuation, height, some value, and CMS, weight, based on your usage. I'll put it in kgs. Now there are no other attributes. So there's so no continuation. Comma is not required. So at the end, whenever there is a continuation of attributes, we have to write. Then you have to put comma. Otherwise, not required. So closure. This one. Let me check syntactically if this representation is correct or not using online validator. Go to portal, clear previous data, paste it and validate. There you go. That's valid. Now you can see one object and one array. So the overall this is object and that one is your array. Okay. Now one more example to expand. I would like to expand this degree. Okay, we can expand here itself or we can expand separately. So what will I do? Example 3 here. Expand, expand education qualification. Outside array. Okay, education qualification expansion outside array. So if it is outside array, then I can just write it here. Degree 1. Okay, and this itself becomes a object, sub object. Okay, so object value should be represented in curly braces. Continuation, one more degree. Edu, degree 2. Colon, closure, continuation. Now see, For degree, I'll just add a couple of details. Name of the degree, colon, degree name 1. Okay. Then year of passing, let's say I'll represent as year 1, continuation. Then university. I'm using generic names. You can substitute appropriately as per your understanding. University 1. So that's my first degree. Second degree, I'm expanding values here. Okay. Only values. Now, if you see, let me check syntactically this representation is correct or not. Clear previous data, paste it and check. That's correct. How many objects you have? 3 objects because we have expanded these values once again, sub objects. Overall one object, this one object, and this is another object, and one array, this one. Okay. Let me go back and try to represent in a different format. So what are we trying to do here? I'll expand values. In next example, I'll expand instead of creating a new sub-object, I'll expand values here itself within array. Okay, one more example. Example 4. Here, inside array. Where do I expand? I'll expand here. Okay, so for that, let me mark it as okay. So degree 1, degree 2, let me separate separately, move it separately, then our value. So what is that we are trying to do? We are trying to expand education qualification. That means this degree, okay, this degree 1 will act as a sub-object inside array. Okay, whenever we talk about object, everything starts with curly braces once again. Okay, now what is my object now? Sub-object degree. Here degree again, once again with what is the data we are trying to represent? We are trying to represent with this data. Another sub-object. Okay, colon. That's how you represent. You can make sure the spacing adjustments are there so that the look and feel looks good. Continuation is there, comma. So what is my second option? Second option is degree 2. Degree 2, I'll expand. Okay, degree 2, these details only. So this, I'm calling it as degree 2. Okay, only until sub-object. Colon, paste it. Check now. Cosmetic updates. Then, because these 2 degrees are part of array, so array should be there, closure there, because we started it, we have to close it. So we have started this one also. So let me close that. Closure. So whatever curly braces or square brackets we started, that should be closed. So array started here, array closed here. Object started here, object closed here. Sub-object details started here, closed here. Started here, closed here. Okay. Check now. Now these details are not required because we are representing or expanding values of degree within array. They should be okay. Now check if syntactically this is correct using online validator. Copy, paste it on portal, clear previous data, paste new data and check. There you can see. Okay. 4 subjects. Why? Parent object, one object for including both degrees, and within array we expanded. So these two, one object, These two together one object, overall parent one object. So overall four depth, four objects and one array. How many keys? Depth, your four objects. Keys, overall key name pair combination, you have 14 keys. Okay, clear this data. Clear? Now, all this way we are using general equations. Okay, general examples we have checked using data representations. Normally, whenever we use just data representation for computer language, a personal computer, a laptop, or if you are trying to represent Amazon Cloud EC2 instance, let's try to use those examples. Okay, infrastructure representation. So this is example number 4, previous one. Now example number 5. Example number 5, represent data of computer, a personal computer in JSON format. Check. What is the object here? Computer. So what properties or attributes, what are the parts computer will have? Name, then CPU, it has memory component, then hard disk. Let's say I have two hard disks, HD0, HD1, then input device. Input device would be two input devices, keyboard, mouse, then your output device, only one output device, just use screen for now, or monitor, anyone. Then network, these days network is common, so I'll use both options, wired, wireless. So these are the components for test purpose. Check now, how do I represent? So what is my object? My parent object is computer. So starts with curly braces, closes with curly braces. First, name of the computer, I'll call it as computer 1. Continuation, comma, then CPU. I have one CPU. For now, I'll call it as CPU 0. Next, memory. Let's say I have 16 GB memory. Next, hard disk, two hard disk. Hard disk, how many hard disks? Two hard disks. So left hand side one key, right side two values. So your array comes into picture. HD0 and your HD1. Continuation, input device. I have two input devices, so it becomes array. Keyboard, mouse, continuation. Then you have output device, colon. My output device in this case is screen, or let me put it as monitor. Continuation, let me add for network as well. Network, two values on the right side. So I should represent values, multiple values in array format. Wired, wireless. Okay. So let's see syntactically this data representation is correct or not. In online validator, go to portal, clear previous data, paste new and validate. There you go. Now JSON is valid. You can see three arrays: HD, input device, and network. Okay, minimize. Now next is, let me try to expand. Okay, let me try to expand within array and outside array. Number 6, expand HD values outside array. Okay, and this would be number 7 would be expand HD values within array. See now, first outside array. So if it is outside array, I can just mark it as key value here. Okay, HD0 colon properties. Continuation HD1 colon attributes in curly braces. Continuation. So let's say I have values of size of the disk colon, let me put it as 100 GB, comma, model, disk model, any model. I'll use model 1, comma, then you have RPM, rotations per minute, colon, let's say 7000 in this case. Then next, use similar data and make some value changes. Copy and paste it here. Only value changes. So let it be 200, model 2, and this is 10,000 RPM. Okay. Let me check syntactically this representation is correct or not. Using pre-portal, copy this, clear previous data, paste it and validate. There you go. That's valid. So you can represent data or expand values within array or outside array. So in this case, it is outside array. So let me try to represent or expand values inside array. Okay. In that case, let me put it as, because we are trying to expand disk value. So both the disk becomes part of one object. Expand this. Okay, first HD 0 colon, because HD 0 becomes attributes become sub objects. So whatever data we have given here, let me post copy paste within braces. Cosmetic updates. Continuation, comma, then HD1. Let me just copy paste this data. HD1. Okay, this is 200. Let me put it as 100. Model 1 and 7000 for HD1. HD0. HD1 200 GB, model 2 and RPM is 10K. Now, whatever brackets we started, that should be closed. So square bracket is there, square bracket is there. Okay, then you have curly braces to start an object. Closure. That should be okay. Let me see syntactically this is correct or not. Copy, clear old data, paste new and validate. There you go. Okay. So that's how you expand values within array or outside array. When it becomes within array, your one more object gets added. Okay. So let's see one script in alignment with AWS cloud. Okay. So let me write one more example. Example 8. Represent data for EC2 instance creation on AWS cloud. So what are the inputs required for EC2 creation? EC2 creation, mandatory inputs. Okay, so mandatory input will be one, instance type, your CPU memory combination, then your instance image ID. You can see I have one sample script. So I'll use this data. So type, image ID, instance, key name, and a disk. Okay, let me use a couple of them. Instance, image ID, key pair, network. Okay, that should be okay. Standard inputs or mandatory inputs. Okay, let me write it down in JSON format. So when you actually write cloud automation, in this case it AWS, the keywords used should be as per the AWS documentation, and the values also as per the documentation as well as accepted values on target. So here I am using a sample value only, okay, for test purpose. So what is my object? My object is inputs for EC2 creation. So EC2 becomes my object. So objects in curly braces. What is my first input? Instance or image ID colon, let's say image 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, continuation, instance type. I will not submit to AWS cloud for creation because I'm using a generic. We should be using only accepted keys and accepted values. In this case I'm not going to submit. It is only for test purpose. Instant type. So there's something called T2.micro. It has one virtual CPU, one GAB memory. Okay. Then you have key pair colon. Let's say that's my key pair, for example. Then you have network. I'll give one VPC ID 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay. Now these are the mandatory inputs. Assume that these are the mandatory inputs required for EC2 instance creation on AWS. But otherwise, the values looks like this. So this is general script. This is one script which I created for cloud formation. Okay. So this is a cloud formation script, but I'm just taking sample inputs. Okay. Now let's see if syntactically this representation is correct with the help of online portal. Clear previous data, paste it and validate. There you go. Okay, so that's how you represent your data in JSON format. Okay, now there are a few more examples if you want to try when you get time. Examples to check. Let's say you want to write your home details. Write home details in JSON format. One more example, write your car details. You can visualize even if you don't have, you can visualize in JSON format. Write movie details, characters, plot, all those things in JSON format. You can write library also. Write library details in JSON format. You can use real-time examples and visualize them and represent the data, their attributes in JSON format. Okay. Thank you.